Angels in tartar sauce. It's not a Christmas dip with sauce. Tartar sauce sounds like a word in the Bible that's used in 2 Peter 2:4. And it's used only once in the New Testament. It's a strange word. It's tartaros. Sounds like tartar sauce, but it's tartaros, Greek word. It's actually a verb, tartaro, which means to throw into Tartarus. Now, this word is used only once in the New Testament in Peter. It's used in a very strange way. You have these words in the Greek New Testament that are clearly taken from the Greek mythology. The words like Hades and Tartarus, or Hades, Hades and Hades. And Hades and Tartarus, these are both places beneath the earth and also names of Greek deities or Greek gods. Hades or Hades, the god of that, and Tartarus, another place, another god in the underworld in the Greek mythology. Now, this is what Peter says in 2 Peter 2:4. For if God did not spare angels when they sinned, but cast them into hell and committed them to chains of gloomy darkness to be kept until the judgment. And most of the translations here will use hell, assuming then that the word hell is used in the New Testament quite a bit. And the link at the end of this video, pointing to a different video talking about the meaning of hell and how Jesus uses the word hell, that link will be at the end of this video. If you haven't seen it, you can see that. Talking about the Hebrew word Gehenna or Gehinnom that Jesus used to speak about places that's translated as hell in the English versions of the Bible. But there's another word here, Tartaros or tartaro, in 2 Peter 2:4 that's translated as hell. Now, this can be a bit confusing because if you just read the English version, everybody seems to be thrown into this place called hell. Angels, humans, but actually here in 2 Peter 2:4, Peter doesn't use the word that Jesus would use, Gehenna or Gehinnom, but he uses the word Tartaros. And this is a this has a strong link with the Greek mythology where the gods were thrown, the first gods, the second gods. The first gods were Titans, and they were replaced by the Olympian gods in the Greek mythology, as portrayed in Hesiod's Theogony, or the beginning of gods, later on, or at the same time Homer. So these are the Greek poets. Homer would also write about these things, the origins of gods and the names that we find in the New Testament, like Hades and Tartarus. In Greek mythology, they're used both as the places in the underworld, but also they're used as names of real deities, real gods, real personalities. But clearly in the New Testament, these Greek words are not used in exactly the same way, because the New Testament writers believe there is only one God. They don't believe in Greek gods. So when they use the word Hades and Tartarus, you should probably understand it from the Hebrew perspective. And in the Hebrew scriptures, at least the scriptures they used, the Old Testament they used, the New Testament authors, they used the Old Testament as their Bible. The word Sheol, that's the Hebrew word for it's not the underworld, it's the grave. That's what it means. just as God told Adam and Eve, you're going to turn back into the dust of the earth, for dust you are, and to dust you shall return. That's it. It's the surface of the earth and the grave. You can sort of plow through it. That's fairly shallow. It's the surface of the earth. It's not underworld. It's not deep beneath the earth, somewhere in the center of the earth, like Hades or Tartaros in Greek mythology. So, what is Peter actually saying here? For if God did not spare angels when they sinned, but cast them into hell and committed them to chains of gloomy darkness to be kept until the judgment. Now, most of the translations will use the word hell here. The only one that I have, MIT translation, it says, "For surely God did not go easy on the angels who sinned, but having confined them to pits of darkness in Tartaros, he committed them to damnation." So this is the only version that I know that is actually using that word that's used in the Greek New Testament, tartaros or tartaro. So sounds like tartar sauce. So there are some angels in tartar sauce, actually angels in Tartarus. In the Greek mythology, there's a hint of sort of these gods or demigods uh, being thrown into Tartarus and being held there. And I suppose in the biblical, from the biblical point of view, when we talk about angels, they could be seen sometimes as demigods, especially some higher ranks of angels. And and in this case, I suppose it could sound a bit similar. They are like demigods who've been thrown into into the chains somewhere down below. But the point is, Peter didn't say God, for if God did not spare angels when they sinned, but cast them into hell. He didn't say hell because he mentions a different word, Tartarus, a different place. So he's not talking about the same place where humans go. So this is the place where angels go, or angels are already at the time of Peter. Um, the first place, where did we talk about the fall of angels. Where did they fall from? I mean, if they fell from the surface of the earth, they could have fallen right beneath into the center of the earth, into the hell or Tartarus or Hades from Greek mythology. But the angels, if you read the biblical story line in context, the entire Bible story, the angels fell from heaven. No, they haven't fallen from earth into hell. They have fallen from heaven onto the earth. And Revelation 12 speaks about this, speaks about how a third of angels was swept by the tail of the dragon, Satan. They have been thrown down to the earth because, and this was at the time when Jesus died on the cross, because for them there was no more place in heavenly realm. They had no access to heaven anymore after the cross. So basically, from the biblical point of view or the scriptural point of view, the angels fell from heaven down to earth. Whereas in the Greek mythology, these ancient gods, Greek gods, they fell down below earth, not onto the earth, but below earth into the underworld. So it's a slightly different ball game here when you look at the Bible. So what does Peter mean by this? For if God did not spare angels when they have sinned, but cast them into hell and committed them to chains of gloomy darkness to be kept until judgment. Tartarus instead of hell, it should say here. Some people link this text and similar text in the book of Jude with the book of Enoch. The book of Enoch, which is not part of the biblical canon. The Jews do not consider the book of Enoch as inspired and authoritative, and the Christian canon also does not include the book of Enoch. So I will not go too much into that. It's just there are some links here between Peter and Jude and Enoch, but the point I'm trying to make is that in this text, Peter is not talking about hell. So this is not place of the afterlife where humans go when they die, or the place of human afterlife. This place that Peter speaks about in 2 Peter 2:4 uh, speaks about a place where angels are being held, in chains, so to say. Their activities are limited, their uh, authority is curtailed, and they can do stuff just down here below on this territory, on this earth. Uh, but the heavenly realm is off limits to them since Christ died. So, as in the book of Enoch, uh, which is not part of the Bible, Jewish Bible or Christian Bible, this text really links or would go back to the time of Noah and what happened before the flood. And the book of Enoch has got this wonderful idea that angels married uh, human women and they had children, giants. Um, but I shall not. I'll just mention that. I'll not go into that. It's a wonderful story. It'll be interesting to look into the genetics of it and how that all could work. It is weird and wonderful. Um, but as Peter is talking about the fall of angels, the angels who have sinned, they are held in Tartaros until the final judgment. And when you read the book of Revelation, the lake of fire probably is the place that Jesus would refer to as Gehenna, or the final place of destruction, irreversible destruction. And in the book of Revelation, you find that at the end of the biblical story, both humans who reject God and both angels who rejected God will end up in that same place and be destroyed forever. But for Peter, the angels are already being held in Tartarus. So this is not a place of judgment. He says, God has committed them to chains of gloomy darkness to be kept until the judgment. So this is not a judgment. This is something else. This is now. This is where the angels are now. And when you read the New Testament, the angels are not somewhere deep underground. They're actually on the ground. They seem to be interacting with humans and messing with humans. And Jesus and the apostles, they traveled and they healed the sick and they expelled demons. They expelled evil angels or spirits who possessed people. So this is the area where you see the angels are functioning. You can see them also going into pigs, falling off the cliffs. They're not underground. They're right on the surface of the ground. They're here with us. Both the angels who sinned against God and the angels who remained loyal to God and are working together with God, like Gabriel, for instance. So this place that Peter is talking about, called Tartaros, let's call it Tartarsos, easier to remember maybe. This is not the place that Jesus is referring to when he speaks about hell, or the word Jesus uses Gehenna or Gehinnom, the valley of the sons of Hinnom, or the valley of Hinnom. This is a different word, a different place, has a completely different meaning. This has got absolutely nothing to do with the idea of afterlife in the Bible. So 2 Peter 2:4 does not mention the word hell. It doesn't refer at all to any kind of human destination in this text. This is just to do with angels. It's not place for humans, according to Peter. So it's not that hell, whatever, whichever way you translate that into English. This is something different. So this has got absolutely nothing to do with afterlife or human destiny and what happens when we die. This is just a place that's reserved for the spiritual beings, the angels who have sinned against God. So this is it. As MIT translation says, For surely God did not go easy on the angels who sinned, but having confined them to pits of darkness in Tartarus, he committed them to damnation. So this video is only a footnote really to a couple of videos prior to this and after this. It's not really about what happens in the afterlife, but it's more about what afterlife is not. And this text has absolutely nothing to do with afterlife regarding human beings. In 2 Peter 2:4, Peter speaks strictly and only about the angelic beings. He doesn't mention humans. It's not about what happens when we die. It's not about where we go when we die, whether we're up or down, or whether we're conscious or unconscious, whether we're asleep or awake. This text is only about the angels who have rebelled against God, sinned against God, and rejected God, and they're held down here on this earth. They have no access to heaven anymore. As Revelation 12 says, rejoice now, O heavens, for they have been thrown down to the earth. But woe to you, the earth and the sea, because the devil and his angels have come down to you, and they're very angry because they have lost their place in heaven. So this is Tartaros, or Tartarus, or Tartaro, throwing into Tartarus. This is the place that Peter talks about in his epistle, and it's got nothing to do with the afterlife, but it's the place where the angels are held. Their activity is limited to this region until the day of judgment or the time of judgment. And of course, their activity is not underground, but just like in the time of the Jesus and the apostles, in the Gospels and the book of Acts, the evil spirits are roaming on the earth, not below the earth, but they're on the earth. They're walking amongst humans. They're possessing humans, and even today, that has not changed. They're still amongst us, waiting down here on this earth for the final judgment.